All right, they're coming in. Looking forward to this one. We have such a great webinar for you guys over the next 45 minutes to an hour. You guys are going to absolutely love what Sarah has brought to share with us all. This is a completely different style of webinar than what we are used to doing, but I feel like you guys are going to get so much out of this one. I know when we did the dry run, we just absolutely fell in love with Sarah and all the material that she's going to share with us today. So we were excited to bring it to all of you.
I agree, Mandy. I'm excited to be sat among this panel of ladies here. I feel like this is going to be epic.
Yeah, especially it's International Women's Month. So what a great day to have a panel of all, or a great month to have a panel of all ladies.
Uh,
All right. Well, let's get started because we want to make sure Sarah has enough time to share all this wonderful information with you guys. So, without any further ado, Miss Sarah Parkins with Birch Cove, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mandy and Claudia and Divisory as well, and Cindy behind the scenes. And welcome to everybody here today. It's wonderful to have you. As you just come in to this moment, you are moving from meetings, from tasks. Just take a moment to notice. Don't fix anything. Don't try and change anything. Just notice your breathing right now. Notice where your energy is. Some of you are going to be high and amped up on energy, moving from one scene to the next. And others of you perhaps are lacking energy. Just notice and notice perhaps where you're holding any tension in your body. Where does that show up? Again, don't try to change anything. Don't try to fix anything. We're not in wanting to load up your plates today. We want to bring you some ease in some way. And then the other thing I would just recommend, just have a pen and paper to hand. That's going to be useful for you as we go through this next hour. And I'll give you some pointers that may be useful for you to take a note. So, peak season is something that many of you are in right now, and that places so much pressure on you, on your human system, on your body. And that body of yours, amazing body that you have, is responsible for the judgment that you make, your decisions that you're making, and the way that you perform. And when that pressure isn't managed with any awareness of physiology, that performance risk can increase and that burnout risk can increase. And so what we want today is to give you some insights on how to support your body and how you can protect your performance so that you can continue to deliver in the way that you really want to, in that high performing, elite performing way, and also not have that degrade your system, your human body. So let's move into this. What you see on screen is a Mentimeter. So if you open up your smartphone, your camera, and you just scan that QR code, what I'd love to do is just get a sense of who's with us today, what industries are represented today. When you bring up that, you should then be able to respond. Make sure you submit at the bottom of the screen, and that's going to give us a sense of who we have here today. And this, as these are coming in, you can see we have a nice cross section of folks that are with us. And this just helps me as we go through to tailor the messagings and the perspectives that we're going to be looking at. But here's the interesting thing. All of you are across different industries, but we all share similar pressures. We all share a human biology. And it's that what we want to look at because our pressures are similar. Now, as we go through, if you want to be asking questions, please feel free to pop those in the chat. We have Mandy and Claudia who are going to be keeping an eye out for those. There also is going to be an optional Q&A throughout at the end of the session if you would like to deep dive into some of your more personal peak season areas that we're going to be talking about. So, who am I? As Mandy kindly introduced, I'm Sarah Parkins. I'm the founder of Birch Cove. I have been in business for about 25 years. I worked in institutional finance and also in technology, and both in London and New York. And since 2016, I've been an entrepreneur and have investor-backed entrepreneur businesses as a result. Now I work with individuals and with businesses to help people understand their physiology so that they can protect their performance, so that they can optimize their performance, because I truly believe that we need really strong, capable, able individuals in business, but we also need to be healthy and we also need to optimize our bodies. So that is what I spend my time doing today, not just today, but every day. But I really want to highlight advisory for all of us right now, because this is a progressive firm that are taking action by hosting webinars like this. And obviously, burnout is a risk issue for all of us. I really want to help us understand that actually high performers are often at higher risk of burnout. And for Visory to be thinking in this way, this is a testament to the way that they also clearly manage their technology systems very thoughtfully, very carefully, and with great awareness. And it's with that awareness that I hope that I can bring some of this for you individually, so that you start to understand more about your body, and importantly, how you can show up in a way that you want to show up, which I'm sure for many of you is in a high performing, very, very capable way. So I have another question for you here. If you just advance your browser, you can take a photo of that QR code again. How intense is your current season right now? If you consider your work life and your personal life, how intense is it? Are you experiencing it? And as we start to see those coming through, what I tend to find in the professional world is that we tend to operate in the sort of 7 to 10 area. Life is busy, work is intense, but we also have periods of time that can be quieter and less intense. And it's starting to give that awareness. And so what I want to show today is, as you can see, we've got a lovely cross section here, but we also can see that intensity is on the top end of the scale, and that's very consistent. And so what we want to do is start to give you some awareness to, one, give you some micro interventions that you can take away to support your system, to make some changes so that you can continue to operate as you do, but also take account of this very extreme intensity that you're experiencing. And I just want to pause and say, for those of you that are in this high intensity space, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for making the time to do this. This is an investment, obviously, in your time, but I really want it to be an investment that you get to take away. This is something for you and something for you to support your whole system. So what we're going to be focusing on today, this is a simplified model of how performance capacity works. So when our stress or our pressure or our workload or our life load increases, what actually starts to happen is things start to take place biologically, and our body will start signaling that things are increasing. You all have spectacular human bodies. They are these supercomputers that are working tremendously well to keep you operating on a daily basis and to keep you showing up in the way that you want to, but they will be communicating with you. And some of you may be aware of that. Some of you may be dealing with different diagnoses, different health challenges, but our bodies are always communicating with us. And this is the model by which we're going to be looking at. How does your body start to signal that your load is increasing? Because here's what stands a business professional out from an elite business professional, or an elite business athlete, as I like to call them. Those of you who notice and who respond to your own body signals, you will be the ones that learn how to protect your capacity in a different way. And that means you will be protecting your performance. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have protected performance so that you can deliver well, but also so that you can deliver over years, not just quarters, that you can live a vibrant life, that you can show up to work well, that you can show up in your life well, that you're not drained, and that you're helping to protect against burnout, against other diagnoses, against health challenges, and that you understand how you can restore your capacity. So everything that we're going to be talking about today is within the realm of this model. Is that all making sense?
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that happens when we experience life, our load increases. So you're going to hear me talking about the load problem. Our load is consistent with all systems out there. We know from a technology perspective, when our load increases, we need to make some adjustments, right? We're used to that. We know in wealth management, when we're managing a portfolio, we need to be continually assessing that. We need to be working to understand what those numbers mean. And we need to take in the macro and the micro effects of the markets to help our clients. We're always adjusting, right? We're always taking account of what's happening. In accounting, it is a very busy season for our accountants right now. And those checks and balances are there for a reason. But we also know that if we don't have a form of recovery in any of these systems, that's when failure can happen. And load that keeps on going up and up and up without any kind of recovery will lead to some kind of compromise. We see it in technology, we see it in those systems. If we overload our systems, I worked in technology for many years, and we would see, if we would stress the systems too much, we would see breakdown happening and we would see errors and outages. There was a major outage yesterday in the financial markets. And so that is an example where we are very aware of how we manage our systems and how we manage our technology, how we manage our accounting, our numbers. But the question is, whether you manage your system that is delivering your performance as intentionally as you manage the work that you're involved in and your business. And so we're used to plugging in our cell phones, we're used to recharging them, but we're not very used to plugging in ourselves. And so we're going to talk about why that happens. So let's start to turn this into a practical sense. Here's another question for you. Let's give you a reflection of what happens for you. When your work and life load starts to increase, there will be something that starts to shift, first of all. And if you use those, make sure you're hitting submit on the survey there. So what you can start to see are changes happening when your work life becomes increased. So you can see that for some people, their concentration starts to adjust. For some people, they start to drink more sodas, they start to drink more coffee. Some people have sleep patterns changing. And you can see how different we are in the way that we show up, which shows us we're all very unique. And yet there are similarities across the board. What's happening is our body is responding to the load. It's very common. So easily distracted, easy to procrastinate. That's a big one for many people. And you can see that showing up here as well. And so this isn't a failure of your system. This isn't the fact that you don't have the right willpower. This isn't the fact that you need to be hustling more or pushing more. This is simply an example of your body responding to the load that you're under. So it's actually, when this happens, you can breathe a sigh of relief and go, oh, my body is operating as it should. This is consistent across every human being. And I think there is some relief in that when you realize it's not your lack of willpower. It's not the fact that you need to be better at what you're doing. It's that you're a human being. So thank you for submitting those. Let's see what happens. Many of you highlighted that you're in your peak intense season right now. And we just saw an example of how bodies start to signal. And so what we can actually do is see some of these signals. They show up in 3 different ways. It's either mental or emotional. We might have shorter patience. We're more self-critical of our own behaviors, of our own performance, of our own ways of doing things. It's harder to focus. A number of you said it's difficult to concentrate. You might find you reread the same sentence over and over again. I know I fall into that trap. I notice if I'm over reading things. I also go for more coffee, but I've learned to switch coffees, different types of coffee to support different seasons. I'll make more mistakes as well. Mistakes that perhaps I'll make in the evening, and then the next day I see that mistake and think, why did I do that? So these are mental and emotions. This is the mental and emotional bucket. The other thing that starts to happen, it could be in behavioral. So you might start to see that you're pulling back from social engagements. That's another one people tend to do. It's like, I'm overloaded. Okay, I'm really sorry I can't make the event tonight, or I'm really sorry, can we change our plans for the weekend? I'm just wiped. We also saw you kindly put in that some of you reach for more sugary drinks, sodas, coffee, alcohol. That's very common. It's your body actually signaling to you to say, hey, I'm under pressure. I need some more energy. I need some more stimulation. Can you help me? So it's a very natural response. And then the third bucket is physical. You feel exhausted. Anybody have the experience where they feel like they're so wired and they just can't sleep? You climb into bed and you're like, oh, I'm overtired. I'm so energized, but I'm too tired to sleep. That's a common physiological change when our intensity is high. Often anyone get aches and pains here in the shoulders. You can't find yourself doing this, moving. That can be where you can hold tension. Cold hands and feet, digestion changes. If you notice that lunch doesn't quite sit in the same way, you don't feel quite as hungry, or in other situations you feel like you're constantly having to eat. Digestion is a big one, and that changes. And I'll talk about why all of these happen in a moment. For some people, that's sleep. Sleep patterns change. Either you used to be able to fall asleep, you can't, you wake up, it's very fragmented. And for others, they get sick more often. Colds show up more regularly. Flu comes up more regularly. Stomach viruses come up more regularly. And that's because the immune system is working harder when we're under pressure and our peak season is high. So what's going on beneath the surface? Why is this happening? And actually, sorry, I just want to pop back to the peak season. Just jot down on your piece of paper the one thing that you notice your body responds to. So you've got an awareness and a record of that. Just one thing. I'm not going to make this, if you want to jot down more, you can, but just one thing that happens for you. Okay, so moving forward, why does this happen? Well, when we're under load, our body is working really hard, right? Remember, you have an incredible body. It's always working really well to try and give you what you want it to do. However, when that load increases, when your stress is up, when things are intense, your nervous system moves into what we call fight and flight mode. And to simplify it, we have two nervous system states, if you like. The fight and flight is when we're ready, we're activated, we're ready to run from that tiger. Our bodies don't know the difference between running from a tiger versus a deadline approaching. And what we want to do is find ways to be in the rest and repair state. But we can't always do that because we have so much going on in life. And so we stay in this fight and flight mode. Our stress hormones start to go up. We then become more reactive. Our blood flow changes, which actually biologically, it's putting us into survival mode. So you can have some compassion with yourself when you snap at your partner, or you snap at your children, or you snap at your colleagues, because biologically what's happening is your nervous system is in this fight and flight state. Your stress hormones are up. And your body is protecting the executive functioning of your system. It's protecting your brain. It's protecting your core organs. It's why your blood sugar will become less stable during this period. Your energy crashes and dips, why you reach for those sugary drinks, because your body is signaling, oh, we think we need extra energy. Go for the sugar. Go for the things that's going to get your body's very smart. It's going to go for the things that will get you that energy the quickest. It knows that through sugar, it can get that. So that's why you'll notice you have cravings. That's why you'll notice you'll have crashes and dips in your energy. And over time, that inflammation inflammation is good generally. When we cut our finger, it goes red, or we get we fall over, we get a graze. Like it goes red, that's inflammation. But over the course of time, we're in peak season for too long. And if our body is just operating in this space all the time, it doesn't have an opportunity to repair. So that inflammation just keeps going up and up and up and up. And when that happens, that puts a pressure on our immune system. And then that's why potentially we then get colds, or we get a burnout diagnosis, or we get another diagnosis. So there's a lot going on underneath the surface, which I hope this is helping you to understand, to deliver some compassion to yourself, that you're operating as a biological human. It's not that you don't have the willpower. It's not that you're not smart enough. It's not that you are not very, very capable and tremendously successful in what you do. You're just working with a human body. And so I'm hoping that through this conversation, and you're getting some insights of going, okay, so there's something biological going on, and these are some of the things that are happening. So what's happening is when that load is occurring, it's just a biological adaptation. It's not weakness at all. It's just your body changing and adapting to its environment, which is a very smart thing to do, actually. It's incredibly intelligent. I just recently moved, and after 20 years, I bought a car. It's very exciting because I am a big car fan. And what is very different, though, is having a car now compared to 20 years ago. There are so many lights on the dashboard and so many warning signals and so many things that are happening. It's a whole new experience. But it reminds me so much about what our bodies are doing. You know, when the car says check engine, and I really hope I don't get a check engine light since it's a new car just yet. But if the check engine light comes on, I know I'm taking it to the garage. I know that I need to and pay attention to that. These are symptoms that are coming up to signal something needs to be checked. Your body is exactly the same. So the symptoms that you're getting, these changes to your load increasing, the reaching for the sugary drinks, the sleep being disrupted, the not being able to concentrate, these are symptoms that your body is saying, hey, I just want you to know that we're okay right now, but you just need to be aware that the load is increasing. And if there's anything that you can do to lighten the load or anything you can do to help me recover, I'd be really grateful. It's just information. It's how you respond that becomes really important. So I talked at the beginning about micro interventions. This is where that is. So get your paper and pen handy, because what I would like to give you are some micro interventions that will allow you to protect your performance while you are in peak season. So what I don't want you to do, many of you right now are in your peak intense season. I don't want you to change your life. In fact, I just want you to keep doing what you're doing, because we don't want to overly stress your system. You've got enough going on. However, I would love to introduce the opportunity to you to choose one thing that will allow your nervous system to feel a sense of safety. Now, I'm going to bring up 6 boxes on this screen. Don't choose one from every box, just choose one on the screen. You will get a feel and a sense, a pull towards one of these things. That could be your body's way of communicating to you that this is the one that I would like you to experiment with. Be a scientist, test your hypothesis. All of you in technology will know from a science perspective, we put things out, we test them, and we see how it goes. We then try to test the other way to make sure that we try and break it, right? We try and prove that our approach is not going to work, to make sure that we are completely understood in the way that we're testing. So this is the same for you. Choose one thing that feels good, that you have a connection with, that is going to support your system during your peak season of performance. So these 6 areas: the nervous system, energy and stimulation, food and hydration, sleep and rhythm, movement, importantly, not training. We don't want to be taxing your body in high intensity cardio sessions while you're in peak season, and cognitive and social load. There are some ideas here for you to experiment with. So for those of you that are struggling, I know that a number of you are struggling with concentration. That could be that your nervous system is just overstretched right now. So here's a very quick thing you can do. We'll do it right now. Bring your shoulders up to your ears and then let them down. And then just bring them up one more time and drop them down. And then just notice how your body is feeling. Can you sense a slight relaxation, a slight calm that's come over your system? That signals to your nervous system that you are safe. And when your body senses that you are safe, it can re-regulate. It can re-engage logical thinking. Your prefrontal cortex is this part of your brain. And when you're under stress and your load is increased, this part, decision-making and clarity, starts to reduce. So we want to re-engage that, right? We want to give you the clarity of thought. We want to protect your judgment, protect your decision-making, and your nervous system can be part of that. For those of you that sing or hum in the shower, brilliant. Keep doing it. Humming, whistling, all of those things work really well. It's actually a signal to your nervous system to calm. For those of you that are struggling with reaching for your sodas or reaching for more coffee, rather than thinking about, I can't have this, find a swap. Find something that feels good. So switch out a soda for a different type of soda, perhaps one that's a different type of formula. Swap one alcoholic drink for a non-alcoholic option. I hear the term is striping. You have one alcoholic drink, one non-alcoholic drink, one alcoholic drink, one non-alcoholic drink. Look at your caffeine, look at the load that your body is processing. So in my most stressful days when I was in institutional finance, I would probably have 5 or 6 coffees a day. I didn't know any better at the time. And I was so wired and so focused on delivering that I wasn't really aware that actually my habits were causing my performance and my optimized body to not deliver in a way that I wanted. The other thing you can do is delay that first coffee in the morning. Have a quick bite of something, 2 spoonfuls of yogurt if you can tolerate yogurt, and then have your coffee, because what you're introducing is the caffeine on an empty stomach, and you will soften the blow of that caffeine. If you're already amped up, your system doesn't need to be amped up even further. So choose something on this list that feels like it is worth experimenting with to try today, if you can, to try this week in your peak season, and just jot it down on your piece of paper or on your notes there. Is this all making sense? Okay, good. And of course, feel free to ask any questions as well in the chat or raise your hand. In essence, we have 3 seasons. We have the peak season, we have the recovery season, and we have the maintenance season. Now, peak season is all about executing and delivering, right? Where most of us are in that a lot of the time. And that is your body's priority is to perform for you with the load that you're taking on without breaking. We don't want your body to break. We don't want you to go into burnout. But we also know that people who are high performers are most at risk of burning out. And that is because there's no sense of cycling the seasons. And so it's all about the protecting your performance during that peak season. But we also want to help you learn how to recover. How do you recover from your peak season? So for the accountants that are with us today, what are you doing on the 16th of April? Many of you will go on holiday. Many of you will take some time off. But let's get really intentional about it, and let's get it really unique to you so that you have a defined protocol that works for you, so that you know that you are restoring your capacity. You are helping to repair and to replenish. You're supporting your body and you're rebuilding your capacity intentionally. And then the third season, again, we're simplifying this, is maintenance. And this is about sustaining your body, balancing, creating stabilization, and regulating your capacity that you have when you show up at work. Now, if all of you say, I am in peak season 365 days a year, then that's something that you need to look into. Because as humans, we are not built to be in peak season performing all of the time. And I can give you some examples of why in a moment. And to help you kind of start to recognize that I can create change, I can cycle through these seasons, and I can do that intentionally. Okay. For those of you that are in peak season right now, I'd love for you to just look ahead, think ahead. When your season is coming to an end, what's the first thing that you do to reset? Maybe just add 1 or 2 words into the browser. Remember to hit submit. Once you put just 1 or 2 words in, what usually happens? What we tend to find in this situation is when our intense work and life season has taken place, we will reach for socializing. Yes, thank you. We'll want to travel. We'll want to sleep. Yes. Yeah, I know. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Here we go. Travel, sleep, celebrate with family, time off. Yes, these are wonderful things to be doing. And I also want you to recognize that these are rewards for your system. And it's not just a reward, these are actually key performance aspects. So in order to protect your performance, you need to do things like this. You need to be able to recover, to be able to Do nothing. Thank you. Yes, that's a big one. Scheduling nothing time, scheduling unplanned time is something that very few of us do, but it's actually really nourishing for us. So when you know that you have an opportunity for your peak season to be coming to an end, put a chunk of time in your calendar for nothing. This is scheduled, unplanned downtime, because what you do is you give your body space and time to meet you where you're at. So when you come off that peak season, you then will start to get inspirations and ideas about what you need in that moment to repair. Because your body is very, very present. Our brains are brilliant about taking us into the future, taking us into the past. We're not very good at being present, but our bodies are, on a cellular level, are brilliant at being present. But pressure does change our biology. And so we want to find ways to reset. We want to find ways to move into our recovery season in a different way. So let's look at that in practice. There are many of you that are high performers. And one of the things that I notice is that high performers don't necessarily mean elite performers, because high performers, as I said, tend to burn out or are at risk of burnout. High performers are really good at delivering, but they're not very good at taking care of themselves. And so I'd like to propose to you a way of doing that. If you're a high performer, I want you to experience moving into an elite performing state. And did anybody watch the Winter Olympics recently? I did. I love the Winter Olympics. I love the Olympics, but especially the Winter Olympics. I'm a snow fan. And what struck me is, let's look at an Olympic athlete, right? Their peak season, it's the Olympics. Like, without a doubt, that is when they are performing at their best. They have trained, they have focused, and you can guarantee during that peak season, they are going to bed on a non-negotiable time frame. They are eating in very specific ways. They are certainly not socializing in the way that they normally would. And they have a very, very clear structure to what they're doing, right? Their recovery from their competitions is programmed. It's deliberate, the way that they load their body up, the way that they show up. For every minute of the day, they are extremely self-aware. They're not just in their heads, they're very much in their bodies. They have to be, they're athletes, right? But one of the things that we as business professionals often end up doing, we stay in our heads. We forget that we have our whole body. We sit down all day and we think that our work is in our head and we're delivering, typing from our thoughts, but we have this whole body that we can use. We also know that these Olympians, they have teams around them, right? They're really focused. They have coaches, they have physiotherapists, they have doctors, they have so many people around them helping them to achieve what they want to achieve. Their capacity is built very purposefully. And so in contrast, this is a typical business professional. This is what happens all day long for most professionals. Peak is constant, 365 days a year. You maybe get 10 days off during the year when you take a vacation and you're wiped, or you get some kind of sickness because you've overstretched your body and your body has done its best, but then it says, I just can't do this anymore. I need you to go and sleep in bed for a week. The load is cumulative, right? Particularly for those of us that have been in business for a long period of time. We're continually working, we're moving up that ladder, we're taking on more work. It's just climbing up and up and up. And that load in your body is going up and up and up and up. And it's also, from a monitoring standpoint, we might be aware of it. We're aware of the word stress. We're aware of the word burnout, but we don't really know how that translates to us. And we're not really sure how to track it. And honestly, it can be a little bit of a tough thing. Somebody says, hey, even doctors have said, you need to lower your stress. How? How do I lower my stress when I have so much to deliver and work is very busy, and many of you will be taking on huge amounts of responsibility, and you also have to have challenges in your personal life? Young children that need to be taken care of, perhaps aging parents, perhaps sick partners, perhaps friends that need your support. There's a lot going on in life and work. And yet, for most of us, we just assume the capacity's there. We assume our body is going to show up for us, and we just keep doing it, right? We keep showing up. And our bodies are amazing. And yet, we're here today because we want to help you protect against burnout risk. And more, right? We want to protect you from having a diagnosis. We want to help you understand what your human system is so that you can manage it in the same way that you give that great attention to your technology, that you allow Visory to have that great attention on your technology that they're looking after for you. And so that differentiates from a normal, typical business professional, high performer perhaps, to an elite business athlete. Because I really do genuinely see business professionals as business athletes. And the elite ones are the ones that understand very clearly what their peak seasons are, when their peak seasons are, what they look like. They are time bound. They are very clear on that. And by the way, it also helps with boundaries. If any of you struggle with boundary setting, looking at peak seasons can be a helpful way to help you manage those boundaries and to help put protection around. I'm only able to show up for a particular season because I am in my peak season during that time. The recovery that you're in then becomes very scheduled and very protected. You get very clear and understand how your body signals to you when that load is increasing. And also you then become very intentional about how you recover and how you protect it. So that cycling is very intentional. You move through peak season into recovery, into maintenance. And sometimes that happens very quickly. Sometimes you go from peak to recovery to peak to recovery to maintenance. It's not, there's a flow to it, but you're aware of it. And so that's the difference. The monitoring as an elite business athlete, you become more self-aware. And you also look for support, right? You look whether that's with coaches, whether that's with doctors, whether that's with therapists, whether that's performance coaches, whether it's friends, family. You look to create your own team around you to help you, because none of us can do any of this on our own. We need support around us, and we're built that way. We're built biologically to be with other human beings for that support and for that to help us navigate our life. So that the rebuilding takes place in a very deliberate fashion as well when you're an elite business athlete. And that's what I hope for all of you, because I know that many of you will want to be delivering to such a high capacity. So this is where you're going to grab your pen and paper again, and we're going to give you another micro intervention for you to do this. There's going to be one thing that will jump out at you. Again, we're not trying to fix everything. I don't want you to take on too much, because if you try and do too much, by the way, your body will stop you from doing that. And you will lose interest in it. You'll get frustrated and then you won't do it. So only choose one thing. And this is about recovering. So these are the things that are very similar to what we were looking at when earlier that you wrote down. There will be something around your nervous system that can help. So when you come out of peak season, starting to pay attention to your breathing, something that I used to do when I was in peak season, unaware that I was in peak season. I was in that classic business state where I was just, my load was increasing. My breath always used to end up here in the top of my chest. And it was shallow. It was up here. Whereas now I signal my breathing to be in my stomach. If any of you have young children or babies, or you have your aunties or uncles or cousins or friends have young babies, look at a baby when they're sleeping. Their whole body is engaged. Their stomachs go up and down. And it's a very regular breathing. It's calm, it's slow. So that's an example where you can start to become intentional about the way you're breathing when you're in recovery mode. And even if you're in peak season, honestly, just taking a few breaths in and out, 3 breaths will do it. A breath in through the nose and a breath out through the mouth, and making that breath a little longer will help to calm your nervous system. If it's sleep, looking to establish, often in peak season, our sleep schedule gets all over the place. Instigate a regular sleep, consistent bedtime, and a consistent wake up time. That's one of the best things you can do for your body, because our bodies actually love rhythm. We exist in a very rhythmic world. Nature exists in rhythms. The sun, the moon, there's rhythms to that. And biologically, our cells are used to that. So if you can give your body a window of sleep, and you go to bed at the same time and you wake up, and do that for a week after recovery, that will help you start to repair your sleep scheduling. looking at your nourishment, looking at the food that you're taking, the hydration that you're having, just gently being aware, something you might want to tweak in that space. Movement. Many of us here, you have to be in the gym and you've got to do high intensity cardio, and you've really got to push and hustle, and you need to do a 2-hour workout. It's too taxing on the body for many people. It's too much. So when you've just been in peak season, come out of that. And isn't it a wonderful relief to know that you don't have to go and hit it hard in the gym? Actually, what your body might be asking for is a gentle walk. It might be asking for some stretching, some gentle movement, because that will help to bring it back online again. You're looking to restore that capacity. Perhaps cognitively, many of you said that it's difficult to concentrate, or you find you procrastinate, or you just get distracted. Look to reduce some decisions. So you'll remember Steve Jobs, he said he wore the black tops because it removed his decision making in the morning. Well, I'm not suggesting that you go out and get the Steve Jobs wardrobe, but look at all of the decisions that you make on a daily basis. And is there something that you could do to reduce your decision making? Just one thing. And then that allows you to just be more intentional with the choices that you're making, because you've just removed some of that decision fatigue that I know many professionals have. The decisions that they're making all day at work, they get home and they'll say to a partner, you decide. I have no more capacity to decide. Now, the problem, of course, happens when you have two people in a household who are both in their peak season and both exhausted from decision fatigue. That's when we can end up with fractures in relationships, because bodies and systems are overstretched. So finding new ways to make those decisions can help ease that. And then this might be a strange one for many of you. Organize fun. Find things that just feel joyful to you, feel pleasurable, feel like just something that you don't have to justify it to anybody. It could be whatever it is. Find something that you enjoy and have fun with, because joy and pleasure are actually very nourishing to our bodies. When we are in a state of joy and pleasure, our cells are just much calmer. When we're in a state of joy and pleasure, we're not in fear state, we're relaxed, we're rested. Our body can go about doing all of the things that it needs to do, like repairing cells and doing hoovering and house cleaning and cleaning up your body and repairing. It's always doing that, by the way. In fact, the cycle I talked about cycles earlier. The cycle for the body doing cleanup is every 90 minutes. So if you happen to notice that you're getting a little fidgety, or you start yawning, or you get distracted, that's probably something called the ultradian rhythm that is going on, that's going on. And that is your internal cells signaling that it needs to clean up and repair from the last 90 minutes. Your senses have taken on 90 minutes of information. Your body's now adjusting and saying, okay, I'm just going to sort through that information from 90 minutes. Dispose of some, keep some, store some, repair some cells that have been used, any stress that's taken on in the last 90 minutes. So you have that kind of scene change. So go get that glass of water, walk around your office, your home, wherever you work for 2 minutes. In fact, what we're seeing now, the research from a company called Levels shows us that actually when we move every 90 minutes, just for a couple of minutes, that's more beneficial than if we sit down all day, don't move, and then do 2 hours in the gym late at night. So from a blood sugar perspective, and from a nourishment standpoint, you will get more benefit by standing up every 90 minutes and doing a 2-minute walk around your office. I think that's a brilliant micro intervention to help. It also takes the guilt away from, I didn't get to the gym again today, which a lot of professionals struggle with. And then sometimes we force ourselves, we get up early. I used to be a 6 a.m. gym bunny. We get there. There were many days when I'd be like, what am I doing? I am exhausted. But I was like, no, I have to be here. I have to be in this. State. I've got to get here. So take the pressure off yourself as well. Start to find ways to change that narrative internally. And instead of saying to yourself, I'm stressed, because what happens when you say I'm stressed? You can feel it, right? When you say I'm stressed, say it out loud now. I'm stressed. Your body just goes, ooh. Whereas if you say, my load is increasing, it lands differently. When you say my load is increasing, your brain goes, any opportunities to reduce that load? It changes the relationship, and it changes your creativity of being able to then say, oh, actually, my load is increasing. Yeah, good point. What was that webinar I sat on the other week? Oh, yeah, she said about water. Oh, she said about moving around. Okay, I'm going to move around. You see, so you'll get these inspirations that your brain brings up, and that's because your body is sending you signals. So here's another question for you. I've covered lots of things today. Load increasing, we've talked about peak season. What's standing out to you now that perhaps wasn't before, or is, or something else? And if there's nothing standing out, that's okay too. If you're getting some clear ideas, that's great. Somebody's getting some clearer ideas about how to support your body during peak seasons, that's wonderful. We're getting a lot of folks thinking about burnout differently, which is brilliant. I love this, that it's more biological. It's not just often we think, we've just got to be pushed through, and then burnout's not for me, that's for somebody else. But actually, we're all immune to burnout. Oh, sorry, we're all not immune to burnout. It's all a risk for all of us. It's how we think about it, right? And I'm so glad that you're starting to get a different perspective. No matter where you're at, even if there's no noticeable change, that's absolutely okay too. Because what you are doing right now, from having been here, you're giving your body an opportunity to see and spot other ideas as time moves forward. And so as we think about moving forward, this is perhaps for some of you will be a whole new way of thinking about burnout, will be a whole new way of engaging with your body. And your body is so unique. And what I want for you is for you to get to know it in a way that is tied to your business. This is not, I think I said before, this is not about how we feel. This is actually affecting business. These kinds of things affect our error rates. They affect our decision quality. And this becomes ultimately an operational risk when we're not managing our system that we operate in from our performance, when we're not aware of those things. Are there other topics that you would like to know about, not just from my perspective, but from your perspective? Because this may be an advisory opportunity. It may be something that you look out for, because when we actively enter something or write something down, biologically, again, under the surface, what's happening is it spikes your interest. So you might find yourself in a couple of weeks spotting another webinar that you want to participate in. You might see a book that interests you around these areas. So somebody's saying about brain fog, like, well, what does that mean when it comes to performance? You might notice that there's something that comes up for you to participate in, because your body has an amazing opportunity, an amazing way of spotting opportunities when you get very clear with it. The same way, the car that I bought is an Audi. I now see Audis everywhere. I didn't see Audis in quite the same way. So it's the same way. By you entering these words of the things that you would like to be aware of, this is actually giving your body a signal to say, hey, body, I would like you to be aware because I'd like to know more about this. Could you send me some opportunities? So just notice as in the weeks coming forward, perhaps if you submitted a word, just jot that down on your piece of paper, because it could be something that will be useful for you to keep an eye out for. So thank you for submitting all of these insights. And then as you look down at your piece of paper, this is a moment of reflection for you. You look down at the things that you've perhaps written today. If there's anything that surprises you, if there's anything that you're really grateful you've made a connection with, if there's anything that really stands out to you, or perhaps there's a thought that you haven't captured, just note that down now. Circle something if it's on your page. Just give you a moment to jot that down. So again, when we're signaling to the body something, an insight, that brings up awareness. In this moment, you don't have to, it's not about load, you don't have to do anything with this, but by the act of writing it down, by the act of noticing it, this awareness starts to lead to very small changes that can happen. Now, for those of you in wealth management, you know the effects of compound interest, you know the effects of accumulation. Health is exactly the same. So health behaves in the way that capital accumulation does. It's the small actions that will accumulate. So I gave you a number of micro interventions, and I really encouraged you to just pick one. Pick one thing that you can support yourself in peak season, and pick one thing that you can experiment with when you enter into recovery. It's the small actions that add up. So we don't want great, big, giant, overachieving, I'm going to do all of those things. We don't want you to do that, because it will tax your system too much and it will create more stress. And we're not trying to create stress for you. We're trying to minimize the load. And so because those small actions add up from your health, this is one webinar. Take it forward. Take it forward with little things, little increments, and commit to that for yourself, that you grow very gradually, because the strain that you're under also accumulates too. And that load, your body is keeping the score. And we all get to see that, right? Sometimes we do know people, there may be people here today that are struggling with burnout, or have experienced burnout, or have experienced a different type of health issue or challenge, or know people in your family or your friends experiencing it. So we know that the body keeps the score. And so one of the things that we can do for ourselves is to get to know our own bodies more and help figure out where our protocol is and what we want to be doing to support our system for as long as possible. Because I want you all to have a very vibrant life as long as possible, for years, not decades. Years, not quarters. So we want decades of great vitality. Obviously, in business, we work on a P&L and a quarterly basis. I don't want your performance to end in 4 quarters. I want you to find ways to live a very vibrant, long and healthy life. And this is where you begin. 1 or 2 things. So ultimately, you can manage your performance risk. In the same way that you manage your business risk, you can do the same with your performance. Peak is a season, just like the Olympians. The Olympics are just one season in their life, and your peak seasons are the same. Find a way to cycle through your seasons. It is not a lifestyle for you to be living in, but to cycle intentionally and to start to rebuild very deliberately, so that you become really aware of how you're protecting the system that is delivering your performance. And you're doing that in exactly the same way that you manage your business and you take care of the risk within your business. So what next? We're almost at the end now, and I want to encourage you to commit to one thing to try this week. If you can do it today, that's great. The sooner we implement one little thing, the more likelihood we're able to try it again a second time. So see if you can do something today that you've written down. If I could ask you for one more scan, if you scan that QR code, that is a feedback survey, for which I would be very grateful for your willingness to share that with me. And then for those of you that would like to stay on after this webinar, I will stay on for another 15 minutes. If any of you would like to talk about your own peak season, anything that we've covered today, I'm more than happy to take more Q&As there. And then for those of you that would like some additional support, just as a thank you for participating, I'm offering 20% off our Birch Cove services. You can go to the birchcove.co website and choose book a session and use the code VISORY to receive a discount there. And then please stay connected. You have my email there on the screen. Sign up for the Birch Cove newsletter, and please connect on LinkedIn. And finally, and last but absolutely not least, again, a very big thank you to Visory. I am very grateful for you being willing to allow me to do this session today, but also just to say what an incredible organization and firm you are. And this truly is a testament to the way that you manage and handle technology within other companies. The care and attention is very prevalent, and you as a company wanting others and your clients and people to perform well and to be looked after it stands you apart. So thank you very much for that. And with that, Mandy, Claudia, I think, Claudia, I'm going to hand over to you now. But thank you, everybody, for your time.
Sarah, thank you so, so much. You are an absolute delight, and I would love if you would narrate a dictionary for me. I would just put it
Oh,
on in the background. It would be so wonderful. Something I wanted to bring up after we spoke and did the initial run through. I really enjoy how you speak about stress being the little things, right? And fixes being little as well. There's a term called, I've learned called ambient stress, right? That low level
all
items
right.
that hover in the background, right? The dishes that need to be done in your sink, or the things that the trash that needs to be taken out, the email that needs to be answered. And one thing we're really focused on here, I'm going to bring this back around, is really being able to alleviate a lot of that ambient or a lot of that background stress for the clients that we work with, right? Think, ooh, was that email that I clicked on something that I shouldn't have clicked on? Or, ooh, if an audit comes through, what are we going to do? Are we prepared, right? So one thing that we're really focused on, not only on individual peak season management, but also continual management of our services, right? Like, I brought it back around there. So, guys, thank you so, so much for your time today. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to myself or Mandy. We are the intake folks here at Advisory for new clients. And then Sarah, I mean, gosh, I feel like I could hire you every other week. So thank you so, so much for your time. Questions are welcome and certainly encouraged. So if anybody has anything else, I'll pass it off.
Brilliant. Thank you, Claudia. It's the best way if anybody would like to stay on the call, if they submit their questions onto the webinar chat or they raise their hand. I'm more than happy to take questions if anybody wants to dig into anything personally or just follow up from what we've talked about today.
Sarah, while we wait for a couple questions to come through, I will ask my standard webinar question, which is, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. So I am a chocolate fan.
Ooh,
Chocolate ice cream.
yeah, a classic. And yes, we will be sharing the recording after this. This will go out to the email that sent out the initial invitation.
And then also we have a handout for you as well, which you'll receive as part of that email too. So just there'll be some kind of follow-up checklists, items for you in that handout that you can reference to.
All right, Sarah, second question for you. What was the turning point for you to move from a very high intensity role to focusing on burnout and peak season and the mental health, for lack of a better word, around corporate culture?
That is a phenomenal question, Claudia. So my own health journey. So after many years of being in corporate life, I noticed my health wasn't where it needed to be. And I was noticing things from my own nervous system that I was struggling with, and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. And so I had my own journey from a health standpoint, but then I also had people around me that had health challenges. I had family with health challenges. I had friends and colleagues with health challenges. And actually, I unfortunately knew a number of colleagues, not a number, a few colleagues that became sick and passed away. And it really, during that time, informed how we have one life, right? We have one body that we're working with. And I have a tremendous heart for business as well. And I just want people to really show up in a very vibrant way, because I've also seen, myself included, when we don't have that energy, when we're not aligned with what we're doing, when we're struggling to show up at work, it has a knock-on effect for ourselves, both personally in our personal lives, also who we're working with and the business that we're operating in. And that ultimately, it sounds kind of big and lofty, but it does affect all of us, right? We go to work, we make decisions that affect our clients, that affect their clients, that affect communities, industries, and economies. And I really wanted to be able to be part of a growing group of people and businesses that were actually coming in to support people in business to be able to create some scaffolding, if you like, to help people connect with what they needed to do. And that was the other thing, just to sort of find, this is a rather long answer, but I think important, that we are all so unique. Yes, we share a biology, and we do share this sort of human connection and this human sort of being human. But we are unique in the way that our bodies respond to things. And stress is really just a result of our resources being depleted. And our resources get depleted because of that load that we were talking about. And so when we can become more aware of our load, we take back control, right? We take that control into our own hands, and we can make changes that then is way more empowering than if we're in a position of, we feel like our body is breaking down, we feel like we're really struggling, and we feel like it's sort of happening to us, as opposed to being able to be more active within that experience. So that's a little bit about how I ended up in this space.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Oh, it's the top of the hour. Excuse me, Sarah, that was absolutely wonderful. We appreciate you so much coming on and sharing all that with us, giving us something to think about as we continue during this peak season. Once again, we'll be sending the link to this webinar out. We'll send out the deck as well as a handout from Sarah. And if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Claudia or I. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Matt.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.